Gambling in Kenya is sending men and women to graves and mental institutions at an alarming rate. It's either suicide or psychosis. Once someone starts gambling or betting, they soon develop a condition called sunk cost fallacy condition. And this is according to a psychologist, by the way. So the sunk cost fallacy condition is a condition whereby someone, instead of quitting, they continue betting or gambling even more intensely just because they've lost or invested too much. After this condition, they go to next level condition called ludomania. So what exactly is ludomania? Listen. Ludomania, also known as gambling disorder or compulsive gambling, refers to a mental disorder characterized by an uncontrollable urge to gamble despite negative consequences. It's a behavioral addiction where individuals find it difficult to resist the urge to gamble, leading to significant harm in their lives. The first sports book was registered in Kenya back in 2013, and ever since they've been proliferating like crazy. 12 years down the line and the damage is absolutely insane. 12 years of resounding loss. Let's look at a study conducted between 2022 and 2024 as we turn the stones. So this was in 2022. This is when the echoes of cries started reverberating across East Africa, okay? Or when the gambling and betting escalation reached critical levels. So they talked about Kenya having 10 gambling related suicides reported, 7 from Uganda and 1 from Tanzania. So a total of 18 gambling related suicides in 2022. Okay, it could be true or not. I mean, who knows if this is credible, but I believe it should be higher because obviously not all is reported, right? 79.6% of respondents in Madari Hospital study classified as having gambling disorders. So Madari Hospital is a Kenyan mental institution, is a Kenyan psychiatric hospital, and they're talking about 79.6%, that's around 80% of the respondents in that hospital, okay, classified as having gambling disorders. So gambling is sending almost every one of them to psychiatric institutions, mental institutions. The guys are losing their minds, okay? 7.5% current excise tax collected by the Kenyan Revenue Authority on every bet placed. 7.5%. Hold that thought, we'll come back to that, okay? 200 is the number of licensed betting firms in Kenya in 2023, doubling from 2021. So between 2021 and 2023, it doubled to 200. We're in 2025, don't forget, okay? It should be crazy at this point. They also talking about 88.5 billion. That's the 8.5 billion Kenya shillings. That's the estimated amount Kenyans spent on online betting between June 2022 and June 2023. So in 1 year, Kenyans estimatedly spent 88.5 billion Kenya shillings in gambling alone. That's close to 800 or 900 million USD, okay? And so of course they've given the government of Kenya is given the hotline numbers, national gambling helplines for problem gamblers in Kenya. So the government of Kenya is putting out helplines for gambling, I mean problem gamblers. These are the pathological gamblers. So the government of Kenya is giving numbers that you should call when you encounter a pathological gambler or you become one of them. Just how ridiculous is that? Bloody ridiculous. It doesn't make sense at all. But we'll be coming back to that. Don't worry, hold that thought. Another interesting statistics here is that university students who lost tuition fees to gambling constituted 4 out of 17 cases. 4 out of freaking 17 cases. Losing school fees to gambling. Just yo. Anyway, that's what we have. Now listen to this. Smokers had a much higher prevalence of gambling disorders compared to their non-smoking counterparts. The findings reveal an unsettling trend. Nearly 75% of participants were classified as pathological gamblers, far surpassing the recreational gamblers who made up 17.6%. Combining pathological problem gamblers showed that a staggering 79.55% of the respondents struggled with gambling disorders. Smoking compounded the issue. Half of the respondents were smokers, and the study found that smokers had a much higher prevalence of gambling disorders, that is 90.2%, compared to the non-smoking counterparts at 70.3%. Yo, crazy. Now let me give you two vivid cases here. In October 2024, tragedy struck in Shinyalu constituency, Kakamega County, when Susan Jerry, popularly known as Mama Sammy, a small-scale trader, died by suicide after losing 60,000 Kenya shillings on the betting platform Aviator. Her close friend, Rebecca Haji, recalled how Mama Sammy had been visibly distressed in the days leading up to her death. It was clear something was weighing heavily on her. Okay? The second case, this devastating incident followed a similar tragedy that May when Brian Ongwai, a student at the Catholic University of East Africa, CUEA, also died by suicide in Langata after losing 15,000 tuition fees on a bet. The government would rather kill the people and get the tax revenue. Look at this. So, economic impact. The market size we have in 2025, Kenya's gambling market is projected to generate approximately US dollars 1.21 billion in revenue, with sports betting accounting for US dollars 166.46 million. Okay, tax revenue. The Kenya Revenue Authority (KRA) collected 24.3 billion Kenya shillings from gambling and betting companies in June 2024, marking a significant increase from previous months. Now, the betting and licensing company, the Betting Control and Licensing Board of Kenya, came out to dispute some figures that were given out by some media, I think 1 week ago. It should be some few days ago actually. So a media platform, I'm not even sure who was that, because a lot of them these days they've been coming out and reporting on these cases or calling out the government on these cases, and they reported that Kenyans were spending 766 billion Kenya shillings on gambling in 2024. Okay, so the Betting and Licensing Control Board came out and disputed that figure or those figures, but I don't know. Who knows? I mean, so the thing here is, first of all, the Betting and Licensing Control Board and the government of Kenya, they are one and the same people. And what happens is, as I said earlier, the government would rather lose the lives of the people and generate the revenue. The government is more concerned about the money than the lives of the people. Instead of the government promoting the welfare of the people, it would rather kill the people to get the money. So the government licenses thieves and fraudsters, and it's obvious as nose on your face that the monies, the revenue collected from these killer betting farms never makes it to the exchequer. It never goes to the national treasury, is never accounted for. It ends up in the pockets of pigs and alligators in the government. So what happened here is, because betting and gambling is basically fraud. It is pure fraud. It is nothing less of fraud. These are registered fraudsters, registered swindlers, and thieves. In fact, there's no difference between sports betting and the pyramid schemes that you guys see out here. The Ponzi schemes, it is not any different. I personally know what happens. I was once a victim, and I came out of it when I calculated the whole thing, and I understood how they even come up with the odds. Okay, because the odd is the boss, and the gamblers know that. So it's a scheme. It's a pyramid scheme. It's a retrogressive kind of investment. It is not, I mean, no one, literally no one can ever make a living out of gambling. You'd have to be a psychic to even make money in gambling, because it is not possible. The odds are against, they're against the gambler or the customer. The odds themselves are against the gambler. So you can never make money in gambling. It is not possible. You gotta be lucky 1 or 2 days. And as I said, you'd have to be a psychic to beat the odds, because the odds is what determines what you get. So if the odd is set against you, fundamentally, how are you going to make money? It is much lower than what you need to even make one single shilling. It is much less than that. It's a loss. Once you put your money there, you've made the first step back or backwards. It's a losing game. The house never loses. There's that phrase, is a phrase or whatever. There's a phrase that says the house never loses, and it's the house of gambling. The betting companies never lose, but the clients, the customers, they lose on a daily. Now, we're losing lives, we're losing families, we're losing, important people of the society, because they have so much value. They can do so much in the society and in their lives. But we're losing all these people. We're losing all these families. Students are dropping out of school. Students are, unaliving themselves. Parents are distressed and stressed, and the government doesn't care. So it's all money worship here. It is crazy. That's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to share, follow, and subscribe.